I'm okay with that.
Yeah, yeah, I it works.
Everybody get up on the dance floor and go, and go, and go crazy. And go crazy. And go crazy. And go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the old to LA. Go crazy like a dum-dum. Eastside homeboy where I come from. Dance on the floor till you go numb. No fighting, no hating, no red rum. This is OOO City. All the way to the bay, hear the bass feel me. Catch a case cause it's beating up your Chevy. Got you moving side to side, getting all sweaty. Make it work it, work it, work it out. Turn the volume up loud. This a draw crowd, make it all shout. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to LA. Hit play on the track and I'm ready. Like a quarterback, Tom Brady. Got you all in the friends. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to LA. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to LA. The love up. We heard the buzz and turn the club up. They tear the rugs up. Soon as we turn the subs up. Everybody hands high like a drug bust. Yeah, I'm from the West. Only don't you see the dubs up? Baptize him on the spot, fill the tubs up. My frat nines with the flocks, tell them fill the cups up. For show though, original, the type is proto. I go, crazy, crazy, yeah, yeah, loco. It's solo, the coach, and notes I represent the Ocho. Immersing together, put the devil in the choco. Either I leave him on the mat flat out, I squeeze the telly black out, but when they see him tap out, they go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to L. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to L. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, go, go crazy. All the way from the O to L. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to L.
Hey, hey, hey. What's going on, good people? It is 8:03 and it is time for another scoop show. Um, I'm feeling I feel, what was that, midnight stormish all of a
Right.
sudden?
That's how you sound when you said it too. I'm like, okay.
Hey, good people. I feel like I've been losing my voice for the last couple of days. So I think that was just that natural adjustment. I didn't have to check in on everybody. Voice was like, nah, sis, this is where we keeping it right here today. What's going on, people? It is time for another scoop show. It is Tuesday, and we are ready. If you tuned in with us last week, you will know we did not finish our full agenda on last week. So we brought that thing on over to this week. So we want to make sure that we get it all in on this Tuesday, okay? Because y'all locked in with us on last week, and we had some amazing conversation, really good show. So, thank you for that, and welcome back. If you were here last week and you coming back for yet another scoop of the scoop, so welcome, welcome. As you get comfortable here in this here room, go ahead and drop your city and state, if you would, please, for us in the comment section while you say hello to all of your scoop fam. As you get acquainted, come on in the room, say hey, hey, hey to everybody, and drop that city and state. Holler at the kids out the room, tell them bring your charger, because it is time for you time. They should be getting ready to go on and go to bed now, as the school is back in session. Praise God for most of us here. And I don't know, when are y'all back in school? Not quite yet. Not quite yet, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay,
Not
it's
yet.
coming. I know here in the O, we going back. We on the way back. So if you repping Old City, yeah, send them babies to bed, because it's time for the school. All right. After you drop, what'd you say, bro?
I said, but we on the adjust your bedtime because you about to go back. We on that though.
Because you know we're good for that. Don't know how effective it is, but we do that. It
Listen,
makes us
it's
feel
effective
better.
for me. It's effective for me.
Right. It
That's
helps
what
me get back on track. Right.
that's
I
what
don't know what
matters.
the baby's doing, but I know it absolutely helps me get ready
It,
to
it
get
helps me out tremendously.
yes. Peace. 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 Peace.
Whew.
Yes, but we do understand if you are like many out here in this back to school struggle, we understand that you might not be able to sit here for the full length of tonight's show and enjoy yourself. And while we're sending you the color purple love, we also gonna send you some options. All right. So if you don't get the opportunity to sit with us this entire show and chop it up, we do have many options for you to catch that good replay. All right. So you can tap in with us all across social media, however you like to. And I need to pull up my agenda so I can make sure my tags and my handles is right. I think that's what that look means, y'all. But we got you tapped in on however you like to get your however you like to get tapped in with the scoop. So you can follow us on YouTube. We are on at The Scoop Show. We are on Facebook at Real Scoop Show. We are on Instagram at Scoop Radio Show. And you can also follow us on SoundCloud. There's a D in that word, y'all. On SoundCloud by searching The Scoop Show on SoundCloud. We understand that you cannot always visualize, you can't always vibe with us in the visual space, so we give you an audio option. So if you are in the gym, if you are working and all that good stuff and can't quite sit and gaze into our beautiful brown eyes and have a conversation with us, we got you on that cerebral tip. Okay, so yeah, go on and tap in with us on SoundCloud. And if you like what you hear, like if you really like what you hear, we have offered yet one additional level that you will be able to support the Scoop Show. And that is with hooking up with us on Patreon. We've actually got 3 different levels of access and support for us on the Scoop Show. And you can tap in with us with a half scoop, a full scoop, or double scoop of the scoop on Patreon. And these levels start at $5, $10, and $25. And they grant you access to things like our Patreon only updates in our private community. You get access to our Patreon only live stream, 20% off branded merchandise, early access to event tickets, Scoop Nation shout outs during our weekly shows, and double scoop only events such as Scoop of Sex and private interviews. So no matter how much love you may have for us, we've got a scoop to show your support. All right. So you can tap in with us for $5, $10, or $25 by joining the Patreon Scoop platform. Okay. We appreciate you immensely for helping us reach the people and get better at this here thing that we do for you all every Tuesday. And this thing that we do, we could not do if it were not for you. And I'm not just saying that to make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, but that is truly how we create our content and these conversations, and it gets our brains turning so that we can dig deep with you guys a little differently than what you might be catching on your regular feeds. But we're not throwing shade to the regular feeds, okay? We want y'all locked into the regular feeds so that you can slide into our DMs, which is straight out of the inbox. Okay, so that is essentially how we create our conversations around here, because we cannot be everywhere at once. As vast and wide as our dear sister Miss Beyonce's internet reaches, there's just no possible way. Okay, so that is why we implore you all to go in and grab those links and copy those images and slide them on into our DMs so that we can share them with our pages, with our people, with your people, and we can chop it up. And if we really get to going, it'll make it to this show. That's why we didn't finish last week's full agenda, because we just had so much. And then y'all showed up with just so much more, and it was just chef's kiss. So that is simply because straight out of the inbox is working, and it's working because of you. So do that. Whenever you're scrolling our pages and you see this here image attached to any of our posts, or you see the hashtag straight out of the inbox, tap in. We are looking for you and your thoughts. All right. I did a little out of order, but I think I got it all in there.
Listen, given what I gave you to work with today, you did phenomenal.
Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. So glad.
Phenomenal.
How
How you doing?
are you?
I asked first.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Getting in the swing of things. Getting in the swing of things. KG, it is Beyonce's internet. It is. It is.
It is,
It is
especially this
Beyonce.
week. Especially this week.
The last couple of, but yeah.
Y'all big mad at Beyonce, boy. They done put her to. They done said she everything but a child of God.
Yeah. They've been saying that for a while though.
I know, but goodness gracious, like y'all, come on, we reaching some of this stuff. We just be reaching on. Goodness.
You know that when you call all that what was that? You know what was that? What was that line? You know you that ish when you call all this the conversation.
Jeez.
Just knew what she was doing.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, come on, y'all. Anyway, I'm not gonna even go to that, but yeah, that's not on
Marketing.
the agenda. Not on the agenda, but
It
yeah.
is not tonight. Not tonight. But I'm good though. I'm good. Very, very happy to be sitting right here. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I'm good. Busy, just trying to get used to adjusted to all this new stuff. And
Newness.
but we have
Yeah.
like every like second and third Tuesdays we have a meeting. So like today's meeting is the big meeting, and it usually goes to like 10 o'clock. And I'm like, y'all,
Nah.
keep it. So I appreciate them for being.
Does it need
Sometimes,
that's a long time.
sometimes, but I'm like, look, I so they were like, we understand you have to do something. So either first of all, we're gonna try to shorten the meetings, and I was short the meeting, so I
Yes.
can shorten the meeting.
Yeah. You see, my first question was like, does it have to be that long? I guess it needs to be that long.
Yeah.
Wrap some
So
of this
yeah,
up.
we're gonna do that. We got that, and then yeah, everything's good.
Good.
Last week, Trey goes. I take Trey back to Charlotte later on this week, so.
My nephew won't be over the shoulder for a while.
But yeah, other than that, it's all good.
He'll come back taller and with a more extensive vocabulary, and
As if he needs one.
right. But it grows every time. Every time he pops back over your shoulder, he's a little taller and he's got a few more words for us. I love it.
Every time I'm like, all right, man. So,
go be great, nephew.
He hit me. He hit me with something today. I was like,
yeah.
So, yeah. Makes too much sense for a 9-year-old. Well, almost 10, but yeah. Anyway, so you ready to get into these topics?
Yes, please. Let's do it.
All right. Y'all, again, SQ said y'all hit the share button. Drop your comments. Y'all know how we do during this show. So we want your comments. So let's do what we do. All right. So this is one from last week. The post said how a relationship will not fail. One, communication is the key to maintain a healthy relationship. Be honest and clear always. What you feel, what you expect. Don't keep it inside you. Assume and expand. It will assume and expand, I'm guessing what they say. 2, be brave to have uncomfortable conversations. I know it will be tough. 3, create intimacy. Put in the efforts. It involves emotional too and not only physical. 4, don't give up on each other instantly in anger. And 5, grow together, not apart, in terms of health, wealth, and happiness. So the question we ask is, what would you add, remove from this list? And is communication really the foundation for healthy relationships?
It's a pretty solid list right there.
Yeah.
What would you add or remove from this list? Can you make it big for me one more time?
Absolutely.
Honestly, don't. I mean, there are things that you can add to this list, but then that would be like an entirely new list. So I don't know if I would. I feel like if we would add something, we would want to remove something because I can appreciate a solid 5. You know what I mean? So I don't really have anything that I would add or remove to this list from this list. I actually like this list from a foundation perspective. Is communication really the foundation for healthy relationships? I think effective communication. I think, and I don't even think that's saying enough. That's become a buzzword too. I think it's more listening and communicating is the key. Two people talking and no one absorbing and working with, chewing on what's being said, digesting and offering feedback that is solution based is the key. And I think we've got to start having that conversation when we just keep saying communication, communication. That just means communication is essentially talking. That talking doesn't really move the needle anywhere. What are we doing with the words that we're saying? Is the key for me.
Yeah, I think talking gets you, to your point, I agree. Talking gets you so far. But then it's about comprehending, it's about hearing, comprehending, and what is the action that takes place after you've communicated. Because I think one of the big lessons that you learn in counseling, in marital counseling, is that we know that men and women typically communicate differently. But one of the big things you learn is how to say back what you heard, so the other person has the opportunity to
a translation.
A, recognize that you heard it, but B, make sure that they said clearly what they meant and you heard what was the intention of what was being said. So
right.
I think that's why I was going to actually say I think that effective listening is just as important as effective communication, because why the outcome or why the response or the necessary change or shifts or whatever need to take place are important, because it's even more frustrating for you to properly communicate something or to effectively communicate the person to hear it and then there not be a change or a proper response. So I think all of those have to be there. But I think as a whole, if you are including listening under communication,
yes,
I'm good. The other thing I'm going to say is, and KG actually said it, I understood. I don't think they were trying to take away from physical intimacy, but I also don't think that we should try to not include physical intimacy. My initial thought was a woman probably wrote this because I know typically, not all the time, typically women need more. Men are very good at going after the physical intimacy, but not going after the other stuff. So to not include the other stuff leaves physical intimacy as the way most of us translate intimacy. But there's another need that's out there. So that was just a guess. But I think you need them both equally. I think that if for a relationship to work, because we know that is important for men and it's important for women, that to not make that a priority just as much as non-physical intimacy would be problematic, because you can have great talk.
Go ahead.
And if you ain't got no good sex,
yeah,
it's gonna be problematic too.
So my question for that is, because this list is based on a relationship not failing, so I wonder, would sex still rank in the top 5? If we're going to do a top 5 list, would we still put sex in the top 5? And I ask that because are we saying that if something were to happen to one or the other where sex was no longer an option, are we now saying that this thing is so important that we would abandon the relationship if physical intimacy was now removed from the situation? I've always wanted, I've wondered that, and I don't know if because if we understand that about these conversations when we put so much emphasis on physical sex, are we coming from a bright and spry, ready to go all the time, space, or is it, are we really thinking of all of the ways that could evolve within a relationship?
So I think that there's a difference between inability versus unwillingness. Like
Now, if it was broke, like you
that's
couldn't
what I'm
do
saying. I
nothing.
think there's a difference between I can't and I don't want to.
Yeah.
If I can't, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's if I want to, like if I want it and I'm being denied. Flip it, same thing as if in other with the other intimacy. Like I know you can do it, but the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you don't do it makes me feel a certain kind of way, or neglected, unseen, etc. So I think it's the same thing. It's if you can't do it because KG's point is broke, medical thing, something like that. Absolutely, that's different from we are two healthy people who can do it, and I just choose not to do it because of whatever reason. So absolutely, a relationship can last without it. Absolutely, but if we can and one wants to and the other doesn't, I think long term it would have the same effect as one person wanting emotional intimacy and over time not getting it, the same friction and things that would happen.
I can see that perspective from a male perspective. I can see that. I don't think that by and large women believe that from the emphasis that's put on, because for us, we fear if something were to happen to us where it's painful or harmful or it is a medical reason why, not a want or a desire. I can't or anything like that. But I do not think that a good majority of women feel as though their mates would still feel satisfied in their relationship, but like they would be safe with that.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah. So
I don't. I actually agree with that. I can agree.
There
with
would be a lot of women putting their personal health and safety on the line, trying to hold on and satisfy a man one way or the other.
I can see that. I can absolutely see that, especially given the cultural message that is often given to women about do it if you don't want to, this is what he needs, etc. So yeah, I can absolutely see that.
And how high it ranks. That would be like number 2 for a lot of folks. 1 or 2, like that would be.
Yeah,
most men, if they were to give a list, it would not have been left off. I'll tell you that. Like, would not have been left off. So,
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with you on that one at all. So, which is a shame. I think that that should not be the case. Which only further proves that we got work to do with how we're dealing with each other and how specifically how as men, how we relate to our women.
Because it translates, especially when there's such a nose turn up at non-physical intimacy. Like everybody, it sounds taboo. Like, no touchy. Like that's the way when you have that conversation with a lot of people, you say that, they'd be like, why would I want to do that?
Well,
and we think about, well, what if that is all you had with me? You don't have a desire to even try that if that's all I could offer you. There's nothing, you know what I mean? So like that's one of those, because it's not in your home, you might not really process what that how that falls. But
I know, listen, I have a couple of people who are in that situation that I know are in that situation where one partner cannot for a medical reason or some reason. And I've seen it go both ways where, on one hand, the one is like, we're going to work through it, and they go on 20 plus and they're good. And the other, it didn't go good. Right. And it turned really bad really quick. So, I mean, I've seen it happen in both ways, and I definitely can see what you're saying. And I think that by and large has to do again with us as men and what we do. The other thing I was going to say is the reason why I know it's true is because I've also I remember having a conversation with a young lady who told me, we were having a conversation about she was young, like high school, freshman, sophomore year, high school, and she was sexually active. And I was asking her, was this something, like, why were you doing this? Is this something you want to do with this? And she said, no, this is not really, I really didn't want to do it, but I felt like I had to do it or I was going to lose him. And I'm like, man, that's terrible to have to feel like that as a woman.
There's a
That
lot of young girls who have that feeling.
yeah, I'm sure.
That's how a lot of them got their
absolutely,
first few.
absolutely.
Mm.
And I think that's not good. That's not good. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it's a
Yeah, it was just a thought when we brought that up as far adding it to the list, because to me,
great thought.
I agree. A woman probably did write this, but since we were talking about that, I really wondered, like, when we're talking about relationships failing, like, what would cause it to?
Yeah, like that's a big thing.
Yeah, fail is like the end. So like,
I mean, but that's real. That's a
Yeah.
real statement. That's cool. That's good. Thank you for bringing it up.
Mhm.
Uh,
Madina, listen, I was so
where you
excited.
been? Where you been?
She been minding her business.
Listen,
We gonna let her.
listen, I'm gonna say this. When I saw her on Facebook the other day, I was like, I'm gonna inbox her and be like, man, when you leave, I'm gonna need you to give me a heads up. Because
Listen, I go find her.
I'd be like, where's she at?
Listen, when I was able to push that box today and tag my sis here to the show, I did a little on the inside, okay? Because I will go hunt sis down in the daytime with a flashlight. As soon as I can't tag her one Tuesday, come Wednesday morning, hey.
I legit noticed a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I said, I'm gonna give her a couple more weeks to do whatever she got to do, and then I'm sending somebody for her. So
only reason why you ain't heard nothing, because I had already done that check. That's the only reason why I knew she was
I'm
good.
sure you have. I'm sure you have. That's why I wasn't worried about it.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me, so I'm not.
So it's good to see you, baby. Good to see
you. Absolutely. All right. Oh yeah, I like this picture.
Yes, I made sure I made the picture to the post. Okay, I made sure it made the slide.
Shout out to the big boys. The wrong relationship. Just I don't know. First of all, why I understand why, because we are the right relationship. But anyway, the wrong relationships just prepare you for the right one, and when the right one comes, you'll be thankful the others didn't work out. Agree or disagree? Do you think that we really are appreciative of the new relationship, or scared that it may meet the same fate as those in your past?
I will say I will about 92% agree with this meme. The wrong relationship just prepares you for the right one. And when the right one comes, you'll be thankful the others didn't work out. That works if like the newer relationships are different. But if you keep repeating the wrong relationships, then I think you further separate yourself from the right. Yeah. I think if you are intentional about what your new and next look like, you get closer and closer to the right person. And I think that part of the journey, when you're intentional about that, that makes the appreciation for the new easier to identify. Yep. But if you have a long run with a bunch of dumb and hard and hurt and ridiculous, it will be harder for you to rest in the right. You know what I mean? Because you don't have nearly as much experience with right as you do wrong. It's different if you got wrong as hell and then you move into, all right, not a good fit, but better. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't really it, but we gonna move on, and then, okay, I like this, but maybe you just ain't really quite it just yet. But we good though. Have a nice time. Yep. And then you can come on with, like, there's not a,
like you're getting closer.
Like, you're moving a little, and then when your old boy shows up, or old girl shows up, you're like, okay, yo, that's it. That's bae. And then you could be like, see, I needed all that so that you could do the whole thing when you got, yep, okay, we're good. I think that gets easier when you are intentional about that in between time.
Yeah, and I think that, to your point, exactly, it's the intentionality of, I think, of analyzing yourself and the relationship and what was it, like how you showed up to the relationship, how
Yep.
the other person, what were the thing like being, and I don't mean, I mean like getting specific, like to the point where you're
Owning your ish.
like, I did not show up well when it came to X. Okay, I need to go fix. Let me go work on this area. This did I pick this person because of this, and that was wrong, or that was right. But maybe I overcompensated. Maybe the last person, it wasn't that was that bad. Maybe it was just the way. You know what I mean? Like you have to, I think, really interrogate yourself. And then really, I think, really get clear about who you are and where you're going. Because I think for me, that saved a whole lot of bad decisions.
You see how in the way I was like, where we going with this?
I saved a whole lot of bad decisions because the
Yeah.
reality was, like, there were a lot of ladies who was like, they are there were a lot of ladies who I'm like, she would be cool, but like, comma, but this is something I can't, like, man, she's gorgeous, man, we have really good conversation, but nah, and that but is too important. It wasn't one of them things where you can just be like, okay, I mean, I don't, I like sugar on my rice, you like salt. It ain't one of them type of things. It's something that's core to the point that could really, over time, grow into something that could separate you. So it's like having to really figure out, and I had to understand that, like, my life is going in this direction. And if said person ain't going in that direction, okay, like, I might like you and feel you and vibe with you and everything in every area, but that's a no.
That ain't over here though. Yeah, that's not going this way.
That's not one of them ways. That's not one of those things I can look past. So, absolutely, I do think that. I think the part of the issue is a lot of us don't do that because initially it took me a long time to even get into the space of taking the time to self-reflect, because it was just, ooh, I like her, let's go, let's see if it worked. Oh, nope, that didn't work. Let's try this one. Nope, that didn't work. Oh, and then it was like, oh, slow down, sir. Slow down.
Right.
Something is off here. Like, for me, recognize a pattern of, like, I get to 6 months and it would just fall apart. 6 months, fall apart. 6 months, fall apart. I'm like, what happens at 6 months?
Yeah.
That all of a sudden everything just falls apart. And so then I had to.
Because it's not a matter of it didn't work. You hadn't set up anything to work. Like, you didn't know what work looked like. You didn't know what work was at that point for you. Because you hadn't sat down with yourself to figure it out. So it not working is because there was no plan for whatever the effort you were doing. Yeah,
there was no me, and I entered into it wrong. And it was absolutely. So I do think that if you do the right thing, it does that. And I also do think that if you don't do that, to the other part of the question, is you do enter into it almost with this expectancy of it to go wrong.
Yeah.
Because you haven't done the work, the homework, you haven't investigated, interrogated them or where you are in relationships to say, like, there's a reasonable expectation that this should work out because I've done the things up front to know that, like, even at least on these base things, we match well. The other stuff can come, and that might be a different story, but at least on these things, we have enough that we can work through it together and get through, some of that stuff. So that's actually part of the 6 month issue. That was actually part of it. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and you'd be like, I'm done. I don't want to do this now. This just don't really work like I thought it did. Huh?
Look, and neither did they.
Yeah, neither did they. Right. Yeah. Because they rep is on this way out too. You know what? Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, it's what it is. So I think we just have to be, be intentional, so that way the intentionality shows up. Like, there's a level of preparedness. Like, you might not be able to prepare for everything, but there's some stuff we should be able to work through, or like, yeah, this ain't gonna work from the beginning, so let's just remain friends and we're good.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. Hey, I agree. Like we do way too much trying to, lig it sometimes because you know what it feels like. So.
But you said Q, it's hard. Who wants to self reflect? Yeah, and that's part of the problem.
Somebody who want to get it right after a while is gonna sit with yourself.
Yeah. And I think people would rather, I think to his point, people would rather just blame it on somebody else because that feels easier initially. But I think I think the phrase is you'll either pay in doing the work up front, or you'll pay the cost of regret later, or something like that. I mean, that's really what it really boils down to. You'll either pay up front by doing the work on yourself, making sure you enter in right, or you're gonna pay at the end when you're trying to hold this thing together that surely should not be, either held together or
it's the cost of way more than just at that point. You breaking off bits and pieces of you. So yeah.
Right. KG said, I would rather give you the whole meal and be an acquired taste instead of give you courses and you don't like dessert. Yep. Yeah. But I think that speaks to another problem too, though, which is I don't think a lot of people more now I think a lot of people are not really okay with the idea of like being single. Like I think we take that, like we're willing to compromise at times way too much just to say we're in a relationship.
Yeah.
And so because we're doing that, now we find ourselves trying to adjust who we are for a person who does not have, using KG's thing, a taste for, don't have a taste for us. And we're trying to make something work, but it's like this just don't work. Y'all not good for each other.
That's madness to me. That's the more we have these conversations and I get into different threads with different spaces, I think to myself about that specifically, like the ways that we will justify something just not being what it is. You know what I mean? Like you'll say the thing, it'll be out there. People will tell you, well, I mean, just like stop doing that thing. And they're like, well, no. Then it gets creative. Then now it's but I didn't say, but we got to remember this, and then after a while, it's like, well, okay, so you're talking yourself back into this circle of silly. You know what I mean? Like, did you really want help? This didn't work out the way you wanted it to because the choice is clear, and then here we are. You know what I mean? And the whole fear, there is a big fear of single. And I think coming out of the pandemic, you either went one extreme or the other. You were, I don't want to be tied down to anything anymore. Because I've been here. You know what I mean? Seriously, there's been people came out of the house and got out of the house. You know what I mean? Like, and have like cut their job. They don't even work in the same place. They done moved. Like everything had to shift. Everything, and that could be a trauma response from how we didn't really have a choice in any of that, and they could come back around later on. But there's been an extreme behavior change in our society after or during this pandemic. And then there are some folks that have become super tied in and latched into everything that looks like familiar. This is what I know. This is what I'm safe with. We in our last days. We got to grab everybody clothes, so it is I don't want to do anything new because everything could change at any moment. And this is all I got. Yep. So the whole idea of being just you, figuring your path, your life out seems like, it sounds like it's this whole, like we're going to the moon, and it's very interesting too.
Yeah. And for the sake of context, I don't think I'm referring to, and maybe I am, I'm referring to like people who are like actually in marriage. Like, I don't know if I'm suggesting that it's like, you in it. So like, just like, I'm not, we're talking about, I think for the sake, like as we're in it, in those stages of trying to determine that's different. So I think we have to like we have to do the things to know before we start making these types of commitments. And I
Yeah.
think they're in,
Yes.
like, we're such, again, we don't want to be single. We're afraid that what singleness could mean. We're so busy worried about, like, again, like I said, what that could mean for us. Does it mean I'm not enough? Is something wrong with me? I'm never gonna get somebody else, that we're stuck. And to Donnell's point, like Donnell made the point, he said that some people get comfortable with complacency. I think that a lot of it is it's sometimes it's complacency, but sometimes you're so stuck, you're just so comfortable having somebody, that the idea of having nobody scares you to just staying with somebody so you can have somebody.
Yeah.
And then but at the same time you're deteriorating, you're deteriorating, and you're feeling all of the negative stuff. So it's just
It
weird.
ain't the flex that you thought it was after the end of the day. You're like,
Yeah, yeah.
don't feel too hot.
All
Yeah.
right, Donnell.
Night, bro.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Uh, we moving through these pretty quick.
Hey, we had a mission. We got a lot.
Let's see where we at here. All right. The convenience of company at the expense. Hold on, what did he say? The convenience of company at the expense of self worth. Ooh, child. Absolutely. Happens more than you can imagine. All
That
right.
conversion rate is off. Just so you know. The conversion is not what's up.
Yeah. Yeah. KG said being single is not bad, but being alone is the problem. And loneliness is the state of mind. You could be in a room full of people and be lonely. Absolutely.
You can.
But I tell you what, loneliness is different when you got a warm bodies. So I mean, I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying that I think for a lot of people, it's like, hey, I might feel lonely, but we gonna figure it out because I got a
Mm-hmm.
warm body. And I'm not suggesting that's right, but it's real.
Own it.
It, it happens on a regular basis. All right. You aren't attracted to the wrong guys. You are attracted to their emotional signatures, which are the same signatures of those who may have hurt you the most in your childhood. Are women working through childhood trauma, or is there something else to be said for repeatedly attracting the wrong mate? We could say women and men on that one, couldn't
We could.
we? I was asking.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting that we always want to give something to our childhood traumas. You know, everybody had a traumatic childhood. We all got stuff, but it's always I giggle. I'm not gonna laugh. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I giggle every time we attribute something to our childhood traumas. Um, I think that it's likely that there could have been something that happened or a person or figure in life that could have created a tick, so to speak, for a certain type of person. But I don't necessarily know that it's always a childhood issue that is the reason why we make the romantic decisions that we make. Now, as far as emotional signatures are concerned, that part I actually do kind of agree with. I think that as we grow into adults, we shift what we seek out in ourselves and in our mates. And as that adjusts, then we change our signature. But if you look back through your little black books or whatever, you can see the progression of you. I would hope that you would be able to see, the timeline of how you evolved, and then therefore the people that you engage with evolved. But I think we look for either the things that we aspire to be or the things that keep us comfortable in the things that we're not willing to change right now. So, like, we will seek out either depending on where we are in our lives, if we're ready to move forward and press on and get to the next, to a next space or something like that, then you're seeking something different than if you are seeking someone who is going to nestle you. And that's not always a bad thing. You could have just come out of a super growth period and you need to sit down for a minute, you know what I mean? And you need that energy of just letting you rest and get comfortable in where you are. So I do think we do seek out the thing that's going to nurture where we are the most. And that may not always be the best for us, especially while we're on a journey.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would agree with that. I would hope that we get to a point where we seek out the thing that nurtures where we are and where we're going. But I could definitely see.
I think that's the right person that we're talking about.
No, I'm just saying. I hope we mature to that. I can agree with you that we do that, but that we eventually do come mature to a place where we recognize that that's unhealthy. And the reason I say that is because it was always interesting to me is even in the times when I've seen either myself or other people do that another part of their life does something to help push that growth. So whether you get it like through a partner or whether you get it through your job, whether your job might start doing it or something in your family, like there's something that happens that like is going to cultivate that whatever this growth thing is that is happening or whatever part of you that's trying to grow, like it's going to push that button either way. So to get somebody who is going to not do it, or at least not help you do it, is somewhat, to me, as I've reflected on it, even in my own experience, like was counterproductive. Because it's like, all right, yeah, you might have been good for me there, but this happened and I still had to do it anyway. So yeah, I don't know.
Is there something else to be said for repeatedly attracting the wrong mates? I do think that is also, that doesn't really always have to do with the emotional signature thing. Like that's an accountability piece, partially. And then there's also, we got environmental factors to deal with as well. I think a lot of the times sometimes we cop out and want to give one reason to why a thing could be, as opposed to it could be a myriad of reasons why a person is having a bad run in relationships, so
also because I think also you can be attracted to a person's emotional signature, a person's emotion. Why am I tongue tied? Emotional signature, but it be the wrong, like the response is wrong. So what I mean by that is there was a time, and you and I have had this conversation before too, that there was a time when all of the people who I was attracted to or who were attracted to me, remember I used to tell you, like, I feel like I wasn't supposed to date this person. I was supposed to pastor this person. I wound up dating a person or trying to date somebody who I was supposed to pastor. And then I get so far and realize that this person has drawn something from me. And now that they got what they needed, either they're ready to move on or there's nothing there except for the thing that I was supposed to give them, and
they've drained everything, every bit of attraction out of it because you had a message to give and not love. It was different.
I'm not supposed to be doing life with you like that.
Yes.
So I think that is also like you can be like there was nothing wrong with the attraction. It was just the attraction was in the wrong place.
Had a different purpose. Yeah.
Because it was a different person, and because I did not get clear on the purpose of the attraction or the signature, since we're using this, then I perverted the purpose of that person in my life.
Yep.
And ultimately was unable to fully give what I was supposed to give
Right, because you were trying to fit them somewhere else. Yeah,
I was trying to fit them someplace else and not create the healthy boundary that was supposed to be there. So which for me it had something to do with hurts and stuff from childhood, but the reality is that was just me. It was my issue. It had nothing to do, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm 40 years old. Grow up, heal.
yeah. At some point, we gotta do that.
Recognize, like, you know it. So I mean, like, at some point you know it, so you have to almost like create the right system for it.
Yep.
So absolutely, dating the assignment. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, Cicely. That's exactly it. So so yeah, I think
I get it.
it's a tough one. And again, every time I see it, it's always interesting because it's the same thing that happens, and you keep doing and keep doing and keep doing. And it's like there's nothing wrong with the person. There's nothing wrong with you. That's just not where they belong.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
That's all right. We got to be able to place people where they go.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have actual relationships that are deeper than just
trying to date and get
it
married.
didn't work, and now you got to be removed from my life forever. Well,
yep, absolutely. All right. Oh yeah, this is an interesting one. Oh, here it is. How many how many times should a person fall in love before they find the right person? Is there a limit to love before we bow out, become bitter, or do we try as many times as it takes? I like that part, by the way. Thank you for adding that.
mm-hmm. You know I'm a lover. You know I'm a lover. I'm a Care Bear at heart. um. So I answered this on the post, and I said I think 3 is a pretty solid safe number. I think it gives you an opportunity to go through a fun love, that good fantasy, kind of thing. You get possibly one of those, oh hell no, but there was love, but now, in them hard no's, but you got to know what that feels like type of thing. And then the one where, yeah, everything is good, but just not, where you can have a situation like that, agree to disagree type of thing. I think you got to go through a couple different phases of what it feels like to love and lose and regain, and like it's a process before I think a person could really be if there would be a preparation period. I think that would be a solid number. You're not too tired, but you're not too green at the same time, because that's not relationships. When you say how many times should a person fall in love before finding the right person, like that's deeper than just dating a person seriously even. So I think the experience of falling in and out of love about 3 or so times would give a person a good enough foundation, if it was healthy, to be able to move into what would be considered a right person. I think that would be a good foundation for that. Is there a limit to love before we bow out? I think that depends on your experiences. Some folk, if you've had a rough go at it and you tired, your heart is tired, like your body's tired, like, you need a recoup. I could see people being, no, I'm good, love. Y'all enjoy. I'm good on love. Y'all have fun with that. Get some from me too, because I've had my fill. I could see that happen. It's hard. Like, heart stuff is hard. Emotions are hard. Yeah,
it is. I was hesitant to I am hesitant to put a number to it.
Yeah,
just because. But I think for me, this made me think about how we're actually defining love, like in terms of like, are we, what I mean? Like, I think a lot of us, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but a lot of us go into this thing of like, we find some, like we think we're in love, but we're really not. Like, whether it's infatuation, whether it's lust, we think it's love. So I think we have to recognize what love is before we can really answer the question like, was I in love with this person? And then, and because I think a lot of that sometimes is like addressed in like the past, like you know what I mean, like when I look back, was I really in love?
Oh, yeah,
Like this,
yeah.
or was I infatuated? And not answering that question from the standpoint of whether it worked out or not, or
Or
whether
where you were, like where your feelings really were
yeah, but
while in that relationship. Yeah.
exactly. Like
Hmm.
I should really give them the best that I had, even if it didn't work. Like,
Yeah.
or was I, was there the sacrificial aspects of what love entails? Was there legitimate effort, and was there, like all of the things that really we would say show that you actually love somebody, or
Mhm.
did I just think she was cute and fine, and I
Yeah.
just think
Been around for a
he was
while.
gonna be the part? Yeah, they were around for a while. Even long term relationships. To your point, like you can think about that in the context of long term relationships and be like, man, was I really in love with this person, or did I just go through the motions and like because we worked well together, we went to the same church, whatever, we did good business together.
All kinds of reasons
Makes
why
you
folks end up in those.
good. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I also think to the very end, I know we got to move on. We're right at the top of the hour. But I also think for that, or as many times as it takes, I think even for those people who have bowed out or may feel bitter about love, it may take them longer to come back around. And they're absolutely they're absolutely not seeking it out, but they're not necessarily removing themselves from like love. If love is happening, it's gonna find you. Like if they're if you happen to get back in the mix with your person, however many times it may take, and that is what is meant, no matter what you said to yourself about what you will, what you won't, who you ain't, who you may, it's gonna, you will find a little crack or crevice to allow love back in just a little bit, because aside from all of the stuff that we go through, we are wired for companionship. Now, you can find that outside of romantic love, but we're not gonna sit up here and play like we don't know how we are
Yeah.
made.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
I
agree.
think we are
Some
very
of
much
Go ahead.
seeking love. The way we are set up is to seek that feeling, and we make a choice to turn that off after a while. But
Yeah.
human nature is human nature. Love will turn that bad boy right back on. Oh, you thought that switch was broke? Ta-da.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hard eyes for everybody. You know what I mean? So
It's real.
that's
Because the boy was done. I was all ready just to use all my mercy on repenting.
I knew better than that, though. I just knew.
I know.
I knew better than that.
I know. But I was
Some
ready.
folks you just know.
I was ready. I was like, hey, they just gonna have to understand. Pastor got
Yeah.
Pastor got to do. But I mean, again, I think to your point, like you when you are the type of person who recognizes, like you said, that this is a part of how I'm built, because it doesn't just affect your ability to receive love. It reflects your ability to give it as well. And it's not, and when you turn that thing off, it's very difficult to not turn it off in every area. Like it's not,
and everybody notices it. Yes.
Everybody notices it because now, and for me, it affects how I do what I do. Like I don't do this well if I'm not tapped into my emotions. I don't do other things that I do well if I don't tap into my if my heart is closed, because now I have first of all, I already struggle enough being empathetic, but I have negative empathy when I'm in that state. So So I think we have to recognize that it's a different, like, it affects other things. You know, it doesn't
Yes.
just, it's just not like, all right, I'm done with love in the context of relationship. No, it affects your familial relationships, your other partnerships, your friendships. Like, it affects all of that because now there's the boundary that you put up that keeps
Yeah,
you
for
know,
everybody. Yeah, you don't leave it open for some folks and then let others. Yeah, and close it off for others. Yeah.
yeah, don't do that. So yeah. Sister says it's better to have loved and lost than to not have loved at all. For me, I won't relent. Just take my heartbreaks every so often. That's wise.
Mhm.
KG says third time was a charm. Love you, Jasmine Nicole Gill, my man.
Oh, hey, boo.
Singing because everybody needs love. Oh yeah, everybody needs love. Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. All right, let's see where we at. One more. Only a little bit behind.
Ease on down. Ease on down. Boo.
What is the number one thing you should look for in a spouse? How has your list changed over time? What's the most surprising addition, subtraction to your list?
I spelled that wrong. Damn.
That's all right.
I just caught
You
that.
got the C. Yep, I just saw it.
Yep.
It's all right.
Mm-hmm.
It's all
Okay.
good. Every time, everybody's
Players
entitled.
mess up from time to time.
Everybody's entitled to a mistake. It's okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
What is the number one thing you should look for in a spouse? Ugh. I don't have one thing, honestly.
Okay.
That is unrealistic for me to try and even play like there's one thing I look for in a person that I would want to.
Well, no, the number one thing.
I know, but like they link. So like, child, I can't. I don't know how to do.
Yeah.
After being in a, like, to me, after being in a marriage, like, to be able to be like there's one thing that is so unrealistic for me to be like there's one thing that the number one thing, like, that just seems, because yeah, it links. They're all like this to make a person a viable spouse.
Yeah.
How is your list? I want to say, like, communication is huge for me, especially at this point in my life. And the effective part of that, the person would need to be an effective, clear communicator and listener. Like, there's got to be a balanced communicator. I think balanced makes that trait better, because it requires both to be able to listen and to comprehend what's going on and be of service. So I think communication, balanced communication would be my number one thing.
Okay.
Over time, that list has changed because I've changed a lot. From when I first started thinking about long-term spouse versus,
yes,
you know what I mean, versus now what as the woman that I am at this point, what that list would look like.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it has changed quite a bit, but I think it has changed. The thing that has probably been the most surprising has been how much more grounded my list is as opposed to the standard list.
Yeah.
It is definitely more customized to Q.
Yeah.
And
so interesting. So you probably don't remember this, but I remember when you turned 30 and we had a conversation. Do you remember this conversation?
Probably. Go on.
We had a conversation when you turned 30, and I said to you, you are about to change. And the things around you are about to change. And you got to be prepared for the idea that the space that you are entering into is going to change, not so much the core of who you are, but it's going to change how you see the world and how you want your work. And you were just like, oh, okay.
I do remember this conversation.
Right. Because something happens around that age where like our experiences are start to become different, and the things that we need from people start to become different, and then like something happens in that lens where it's like the lens focuses, and now
Yeah.
life is not this, but life is this.
It's go time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it's
Yeah.
like, okay, so now some of the fringe foolishness, like, okay, I can't do that. That's slowing me down. This is not working. This isn't serving me. And like, I remember, and I think that's what when we start to get into that phase of life, where that list now looks, it's less dreamy and more
Yes. It's
grounded. It's
yes.
less pie in the sky and more,
Yes.
what do we need to get
Mhm.
to the goal?
Yep.
If you can't help get to the goal, you gotta move out of my way, because I don't have time and I don't have energy to waste anymore.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I remember that conversation, because I remember having it with myself. Like, oh, the world
Mhm.
doesn't look the same like anymore. And so now I got to start being really picky about that. And I remember thinking, I remember the biggest thing I thought around that time was, I need more men. I need more
Yeah.
men. I mean, or older men around me, not just men who are pulling,
Mhm.
but men who are sewing. And so I started
That's the truth too.
thinking,
Yeah. That's when I developed. That's when about that time is when I began to develop the current tribe that I'm
yep,
in
that's
right
when the
now.
business besties and stuff started
Yep,
coming.
that's when the biz boot when we started taking
Mhm.
trips and collaborating and yeah. So
Yep,
you're absolutely right. You seek
yep.
out you get real with yourself around that time, and
Mhm.
you start to look at what you need and where you can be of service, and you seek out those people that nurture that. You seek out those spaces, those people, those challenges, whatever it is that help you get there. So yeah, that's funny that you brought that up, especially in relation to this. But yes, I do remember that conversation, and it was
Mhm.
very because everyone talks about 30, 30, 40. It's 25, 30, 40, and by the time I got 30, and I had already felt like I had done 30
Mhm.
already. So
Mhm.
when when we have those kinds of conversations, I was like, yeah, probably. It wouldn't surprise me, Yeah, okay, we'll see.
Okay.
But when I look over these last 8 years, it has moved quickly
Yep.
as far as my outward,
Yep.
what life looks like, but the inside me has changed like
Mhm.
in a lot of ways
Mhm. Mhm. And it's
over
almost
that
like,
as well. So that's a very accurate.
yeah, it's almost like you have to, and it's almost like those two things are battling each other at times to like be on the same page.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to kind of, again, it's like, okay, like I know what I feel, but I know what I see, and what I see
That's that
and what I
push.
feel.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what keeps you trying to you're constantly trying to level the scales
right.
as you move. Because often you start how it's supposed to be is you would think that you get to go through the change and then you get to put the change in life and then life just moves on. But that's not always how that works. Sometimes life says, okay, you're here now, and then you have to
You gotta jump.
catch up,
Yeah,
and that can be
yeah,
rough
absolutely,
sometimes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So for me to answer that the question,
Hmm.
the answer is, as a man, the number one thing that I think that as a man should look for in a spouse is emotional maturity.
Mm. That's good. Yep. Yep.
And I say this because communicate effective communication is typically not the issue of most women that you're going to run into,
Mm.
because y'all gonna talk.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all gonna talk. Y'all gonna talk. Y'all gonna communicate. Y'all gonna keep communicating until the communication has been communicated well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the things that I have noticed is that sometimes that a lot of times the emotional maturity to match is not there. And so sometimes you're
Yeah, that makes it
communicating
rough.
what you're trying to communicate, and we like, hey, you doing too much.
Just bouncing off.
And you like, what the, and so and because you are typically created to be the more emotional creatures, not all the time.
Yeah.
um outwardly emotional. Let me say that what happens is sometimes that's not always the best flexed muscle. Meaning sometimes y'all don't know how to be quiet, and sometimes y'all just be like emoting, and we like, hey, got it.
Yeah.
And you like, hey, I need you to pull that back in, come back, and you like, what? No, just come back. You okay? I heard you. I got it. Let's talk through this and not. That's
Yeah.
So that's for me was emotional maturity. Like I want you to be emotional, but I also want you to be mature enough to know how to control it.
Yes. That's big.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah. And it's hard too. And it's hard.
And that it is big for women because I think it's big. Yes. Yes. Carry on. Not gonna do that.
Yes.
You're right.
You had something to say.
I did, but nope. Carry on.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Let's see what the people said. KG says be coachable. My initial thing was going to say flexible, but I thought about no, it's not. It's emotional maturity. Cicely says effective communication is a must. Mama said an effective communicator, absolutely. Jamie says it's very hard to narrow it down to one thing. I used to say saved, Holy Ghost filled, but child, when you get that, but with a terrible work ethic, I needed top 3 at least.
Right. Like they do this. They like so you can't tell me one.
Yeah. KG says if a woman can get a man to pay attention to her like he would have paid attention to his coach when he was a kid, she can't lose. Y'all going to the championship. Yep. Jamie says, side note, I'm thinking about my list that I pulled out and handed to you after I realized you met it. Absolutely, yes, she did. One thing on the list that I did not do. I think it was something about working with your hands or something like that. I was like, I could pay for somebody to do it, but
check. I consider. Hey, that works on the list. It's done though. You're done.
If you looking at me to go fix it, probably not.
Yeah, that ain't your thing. Ain't your jam.
That's not. That's not my ministry. I've discovered. I actually do want to get better at that though. I've discovered that unique need. That a unique need I have is to be stretched, challenged, provoked to think, and that he teach me something. In other words, help me to pay attention to you. Otherwise, I have found I bore of him. Yep. So come back, please. Thank you. Johanna, hey sis, she says Winfred don't know when to be quiet, and not even. I'm not gonna even knock that. Yeah. So men don't know how to communicate with women who are overly emotional and don't possess the maturity or discipline to know when to say when. Absolutely, we just shut down. Most of us we'll do one or two things. We'll shut down, or we'll do the other thing, which is worse. Which is usually we try to fight. We try to fight you. We become abusive because we don't know what to do. Jesus was a carpenter. I am but his servant. I am.
That's not your ministry.
So, yeah. All right. Yeah, that's good. Any other thoughts on that?
No, I just think emotional maturity is something that is super important for everyone in general. Because I was thinking for all of us who said effective communicator, like that is the other side of that. Because that is the fastest way for me to be done with the thing, where I can clearly say what it is. There's no fuzzy, there's no word play, there's none of that. It just is what it is, and like a willful decision is made to not hear what's being said and not add and spin and flourish and all of that. Like we've gotten really good at hearing what we want to hear versus what's actually being said, even when a person is saying it very, very clearly. Like we're making a thing much bigger or different than what it needs to be. You know, that I want to call it gaslighting, but it's not really that. Sometimes I think that gaslighting has to have a level of intention to it. I think
True.
there
I
is a
agree.
difference in gaslighting and just not having the capacity to see that this is bigger than just feels or what you think this word means. Like I can express this thing and it be what it is, and now we're having a completely different conversation because there's a flat out refusal to let this thing in. You know what I mean? So like that's kind of what I wanted to say about that emotional maturity, because it's women get a bad rap for being emotional because we are comfortable with our feelings in a different way. We've been afforded a lot more space to do it, but we get a bad rap for when a thing is a thing. We're out here and we express it, and then it can make someone uncomfortable because they don't know what to do with it. Then it's like, oh, you know what I mean? So like,
True.
but in a way, that is, the emotion can sometimes be blown out of proportion simply because a person cannot process what is being shared in its natural state, and what is its human reaction. So instead, because I don't have the tools to comprehend this and then bring it to a level that is not as exclamated as this emotion is doing, now it's too much. So I always kind of want I that is my when we do the whole women are emotional thing, because we are confident and comfortable enough to say this hurts, or I'm angry, or I'm upset by this, or this made me feel this way, and there may be a tear or two, or a voice might get raised, or there might be a little more physical reaction to what it is, not violence, but it
Right.
shows up differently. Then people get so now we can't do that anymore. Instead of processing what this very real, honest human feeling is, we don't, so I think
Yeah.
women get boxed in a way because we are more comfortable with that. And there's a time and a place, but I think that whole women are emotional thing, a lot of the times it's okay. So what are you going to do with that then? The emotions don't go anywhere. They're going to show up one way or the other. Are we going to deal with them in bits and pieces in real time when we can handle it and it be effective? Or are we going to wait until that shit bubbles over and then I'm knocking all of this ish over because I said what I said too many damn times and now you're going to feel me. You know what I mean? So now it's, oh, she's emotional. Well, I mean, we've done this already. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I really want us to, as a
I think
community, start
they're
thinking about what we're
yeah, I
saying.
think they are. I think two things. Number one, I think they're levels. So I think
Yes.
there should be an expectation to have space to be emotional. That's not at all. I don't think the issue is being emotional.
Mm.
I do agree with you that a lot of times when there are times when it's not overboard,
Mm-hmm.
but because it's more than what we can handle, we will say this is too much. And I think
Right.
saying this is too much is not the same as needing to exercise emotional maturity. I think there are levels to it.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that the other part of that is I think that one of the things about effectively communicating is communicating in a way and in the volume that your audience can handle.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Great.
also have to look at it from the standpoint of how do I, if I do this, if I flood this person,
Yeah.
will this accomplish the thing that I am attempting to accomplish? Or do I need to handle this, like you said earlier, in pieces? Like, okay, today we got to deal with this. And then once we
Mm-hmm.
can work through that, now we can work through this.
Right.
Because, but to your point, I also recognize that there are times when you try to do it and then like you said, now we're in emergency. Like I think there are levels to this thing of I've tried to say this.
Yep.
It's not, you're not responding, listening, hearing, caring.
Mm-hmm.
And so it now I'm at a 10.
Right.
So as opposed to everything is a 10
Mm-hmm.
and we always on level 10. And it's like
Right.
that wasn't even worth it. And so I think that's where the maturity comes in, is understanding, okay, I'm this thing right here is a 10. And so how do I communicate this well and
Yep.
early enough? And have I communicated this as opposed to everything just, your mama this.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
I just left
How did we get here? Yeah.
door. What in the way?
Yeah.
Oh, leave my mom out of. So I think
Yeah.
that's what I mean in terms of that. Like I think that there are, and I think again for the other person, typically the man, there is definitely like for me. I know, for example, one of the things that I'm very sometimes good at, but sometimes not, is I can judge. Sometimes I will try to judge the need based upon the way what you say to me is said. So I can hear, in most people's voice, I could hear, okay, they really mean this. I need to pay attention right now.
Mm.
Okay. And then in my mind, I'm like, did I miss some stuff before for us to get to this point? Or
Mhm.
did they just jump to this 10? And then for me, I have to then decipher because that for me, again, speaking for me, not for all men, that feels like an attack. So now I have to hurry up and try to process how I'm feeling about being attacked to get beyond myself in this moment. Because right now, this
To
ain't
get to the
me.
solution.
Let me
Yeah.
get to what she's trying to say so I can hear her. But right now, in this moment, I'm angry, and my first response is anger. Whoop, hold on, let me back up. Let me calm down. Let me hear what she's saying, or let me walk away for a second and process this. Okay,
Yeah.
now I can come back. Okay, now I heard you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to me, what you said was you want me to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that what you said? Okay, we'll move forward. So I think it's
That's wisdom.
levels to it because again, sometimes what is a 10 ain't really a 10, and sometimes it needs to be a 10. But that's where the maturity comes in
Yes.
for both of us. It comes in to say, okay, as a woman, I have not told, and for a woman to say, I have not had this conversation with him. So is it really okay for me to go off on this this man who I
Attitude.
know actually cares and that I know is trying, but this thing really annoys me? Is that really right?
Yep.
And to be
Agree.
able to process that. So I don't want. So I want. I think I definitely. When I probably shouldn't say earlier. Women need. Well, sometimes y'all do need to be quiet. No, I meant that.
We do. No, that's
no,
true. That's real
but not
good. Yeah,
quiet.
like we do need to be quiet.
No, that's not true. I don't want to be like. I don't want to make it nice.
No, that's the truth. We need to be quiet sometimes. Yeah,
sometimes we do. So, it was several comments. Okay, you said men are just as emotional. I look at little boys compared to little girls and how they act. It's just we make little boys turn that part of themselves off, and it just manifests in other ways later on. Absolutely.
Yes.
Johanna says, "True Q. The emotion is going over their heads, and there's discomfort or even a feeling of incompetence that results in negative responses." Yeah, that does happen. Everything in a man's DNA runs from the emotional. He is both natured and nurtured against expressing feelings. Yep. Cicely says, pay attention to what is being said many times more than how it's being said. Don't deny the truth of the matter. Mama said, we have more practice at being emotional. Both sides could stand some work. Absolutely. Right. He said that has merit too. Johanna said, a friend of mine reminded me that when people go through traumatic things, they often become numb to other people's emotions as a defense mechanism, and it results in a lack of empathy. Yep, been there, done that. Yes. Both men and women can fall into a lack of empathy for their other. Absolutely. Saying this to say maybe no one is being emotionally over the top, and maybe someone is lacking empathy. To say both can happen. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. That was good. All good comments. Y'all keep them coming. Good comments. All right. That's look at the time.
I know, right?
Okay.
We can do it. We can do
it. Ads.
Let's talk first. We can do ads. Are you good with that? Okay. I'm like, cause we ain't gonna get it in between. We play it and chat. Let's get this next chat in.
All right, go
it's
for it.
Good. All right, so Our main topic, or our super hot topic tonight, is what do we do? What keeps us coming back again and again for this here love stuff? Okay, so we had this nifty little meme that we found. It says, "I'm proud of myself. I went through every type of pain: family issues, trust issues, heartbreak, insecurities, depression. I went through it all alone, but I never gave up." So our question is, what keeps us from giving up on love after heartbreak? Because we talk a lot about this love stuff, what we will, what we won't, what we ain't, what we can't, all of that. But we keep coming back again and again and again. Why? And is it like we are doing this badge of honor? Like we just keep showing up to say that we can, and we're gonna do it one more time, and we're gonna, like, when you die on the game and you get that one up and the man come back, you get another life. It's like, is it just because that's what we're supposed to be doing? Or is there like a more deeply rooted, genuine desire, similar to what I was speaking about earlier, for us to cohabitate, for us to have companionship, for us to get it right, to have the dream, the white pickety fence type situation? Um, because when you look at all these commas attached to the try, one wouldn't be too mad at someone for saying, "Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm cool," you know?
Good.
Ouch to those things. I think I'm gonna be cool on that. So yeah, why do we sign up for this over and over and over?
Good question.
Yeah,
So I guess I get to go first this time.
you do. Switch.
I think so. For me, I'm gonna answer this personally.
My mama. We are. Yes, ma'am.
Let me say, I think for me, what keeps me going is the realization or the experience of when it works, the magic that happens for in me and to me and for the other person. I can say that um, that when it's right and you've experienced it being right, even if it's for a little bit, it's like I gotta have that again
Mm-hmm.
because there is nothing more liberating, more more uplifting, more like embracing than having that person who loves you that maybe not unconditionally but loves you well and is willing and wants to do life, the hard parts of life with you, for you, go through them, with like through you, even at times.
Yeah.
There's nothing greater than that experience. So I think once you've had it or experienced it or um, even just like had a glimpse of it and got caught up in it, you're
Mm-hmm.
like, this is it. Even like in, like I said, and so when the heartbreak comes, you're like, okay, I just messed this part up. So if I fix
Yeah.
this part
Yeah.
up, I
I
could get,
can do better next time. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's for me is what, like, and in the seasons of where I said like I'm done, I'm giving up. I still wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think that I could attain it again because I was trying and it wasn't happening and trying and it wasn't happening. And it was like, okay, maybe I could have my shot and it just wasn't. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it was like, but I gotta have this. Like, there's gotta be something or somebody out there for me that gets me and wants to do life with me and that I want to do life with as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, so for me it was just that magic, man. It was that magic of experiencing it and just wanting to get back to it to the point where like you willing to put up with the BS. Like,
Yeah.
so that's me. What about you?
No, that's all very real. Um, I am a lover. Period. Like I knew early that I was a wife. That I'm a companion. I am a partner. Um, I feed off of it just as much as I add to it. I've always, as much as I hate like group work, like group assignments, projects and stuff like that, because Capricorn, I do love community and companionship. And when I see it from a romantic perspective, I always knew that when partnered well, I could kill that shit. You know what I mean? Like I always knew that that was something that I could excel at and I would enjoy because I'm a feeder just as much as I like to eat, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So um that has always been something that was worth it for me. I feel like overall, people are worth it, relationships are worth it. Um, if you ask folks that are super close to me, they probably say that I give that way more credence than it should. Like I give folks way more chances, way more opportunities, way more leeway than necessary to stay a part of my community. But it's because I do rock with my folks like that. So love, that is, and even when it doesn't work, when it's hard, when it sucks, when it hurts, um, like I don't feel regretful. I haven't all of the things, like I still am thankful for the experience, for the lessons, for my growth and evolution, for my scars and my bumps and whatever I may get from that, because the the process that I think of loving and being loved that we go through as individuals, aside from the partnership and however it may be, like that is so beautiful, if only for my individual self. That, all right, I'm all right. Did you die? Like I look at it in that type of, I come at it very much with that type of, not that I'm trying to die from it, but like it's not that big a deal. You know what I mean? Like you gave it your all, you showed up, and you got what you needed and you gave what you needed. We might not see that benefit today, but
Right.
you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that is a part of our experience, because you also know that I feel like we do this a couple times. Like we have done this thing, and have missions that are different each time. So I don't discount any of these experiences for love. But that is why I continue and would continue to um let love in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me without it sucks. Like when I don't have my I don't do well without. I don't operate at my highest capacity at all. Like
I
it
can.
ain't cute.
I can. Yeah.
0 stars. Cute with no love is 0 stars.
A
Like
part of it's because it's almost like a part of the, I don't want to use the word DNA, but a part of oxygen, but a part of
yeah.
something that fills us is missing.
Hmm.
Because I think part of the what's the word I want to use, the beauty of relationships is the reciprocity that comes from it, that
Right.
you
Right.
recognize this giving that you're doing, and then recognize the giving back that the other person is doing. And so there is this thing of like, I'm showing up as my best self, and even in the moments when I might be tired, stressed, whatever else, I'm giving something. That's me. I'm giving something. I'm giving something that that's needed, so that and because that's been recognized and affirmed, well, maybe not because, but in that happening, the other person is doing, I recognize the other person is doing the same for me, so it
Right.
causes me to grow and stay and test and push my limits and boundaries and stretch my mental capacity in a way that it's not, and flex my emotional, my
Yeah.
emotional muscles to try to go into spaces that I said I was not going to go anymore, but this person is worth it. And because they worth it, let me try to figure this thing out. And I'm willing to risk failure and other stuff, like of who I am, and just to try to
Yeah.
make this thing work, because
Hmm.
this is beautiful when it's
Yeah. I
working.
want more of this. Yeah.
Yeah, I want more of that. So yeah, it just makes it makes it worth it. It makes
I
it.
like Joe's question. How do you know when you've been in love? For me, it's when I think less of me than usual and less about the warm and fuzzy and more about what's needed. Like the overall. Like I'm much more selfless when in love. What is it that you need? I'm more flexy. I'm more open. I'm more willing. And it's not a sacrifice of me for you. It's a more of a exploring and understanding. For me, that deepens my connection when I'm looking for your game versus mine. Does this make you feel good? I'm seeking out a satisfaction that's separate from mine. Sometimes not I want to say more often, meaning to like downplay that I'm not seeking me first in that, but not to say like I don't matter. That's that growth part that I've learned over the few years. Like I recognize that there is a real need for me to be selfish with myself to ensure that my needs are being met, but at the same time the trigger for me to know that I am in love is when I'm seeking out opportunities where I don't necessarily gain, where or if there is an opportunity that presents itself where I don't see an immediate benefit or something that lights me up, I'm still seeking. Let's do that because I know there is a gain on the other side. I'm willing to learn and be quiet, like, but not necessarily just the no words, but quiet and I'm taking it in. I'm allowing the change, the effect to happen. You know what I mean? Like walls come down for me that need to be tough, and well, the protection of the person has it is not as important because I feel that that's almost not for me anymore. So now I'm open to be all of that and give all of that because that reciprocation you just talked about. I know I'm covered. So I can do all of those things because it's not going to fall on a hard heart or a deaf ear or be, used crazy because it's a flow that happens.
Yeah,
I think less of me and more of us
yeah.
and the we when I'm in love. Yeah.
Healthily in love.
Mm-hmm.
What Q said, plus I think for me, I would add to that I am also, I know I'm really in love when I am fully able to be my full self with you.
Mm. Yeah, and that too. And add mine to that. I mean, add his to mine. That too.
When
Yeah.
I'm settled being everything that I am, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, with you, then I know I'm in love. Because I know there are very few spaces and very few times where I felt safe enough, comfortable enough to even attempt to allow somebody into that.
Cicely reining in, sis.
Now, to her point, now interesting, which is why I had to say healthily,
Yeah.
because I know to Cicely's point, like I think part of what we do,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be
If you have a servant heart for, mm-hmm.
a lot of what you said, I'm like, a lot of people. But like I said, in a healthy way, yeah, there's definitely like some of that stuff you shouldn't do. So realizing like, yeah, this isn't healthy right now, the way I'm going about this. But yeah, I get it. I get what she's saying. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think a lot of it is just like when I feel, but there's still for me spaces, very few spaces where I feel safe enough to be completely myself, and for people to get all of me. Um, that's how I know. Which is why for me, when it doesn't happen, like or something like it's hard, like I take stuff like that hard because it's like, man, I thought I had found a space
Mm.
and a person, and dag, you not. And I've been looking
Yeah.
for this space, and I thought you were the person to occupy this space with me, and you was just like you just like the rest of them.
Mm. Just as much as I talked about those walls go crumbling, and then I'm it comes up just the same when it feels the other way, like it. Yeah, I got it. I'll take it from here, and then I take it from there. Like I'm just, and it is, it is, yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
the wall. I'm like the wall
That's
with
it, sis. That's it.
Jericho. Mm-mm.
The reciprocation is the thing. I know that I don't have to worry about covering me and thinking of like, so there is a security that comes when you know that that person is giving it back to you, because in a way they have just as much to lose as you do. They're just as open in that regard for you as you are. So there's a safety in I'm selfless because I know this person is selflessly covering me too. It's pouring outside. He's not covering. He don't have the jacket on him and his arms just spread. Like back is naked, I'm covered. You know what I mean? Like we're so that I'm the least wet. Like that type of reciprocation while I'm, you know, it's the circle. So that doesn't, that full on no holds barred, you get all of me that Wynn talks about, and I'm giving all that way comes when that covered is I know I'm I, I'm good, no trust falls necessary. It's an issue, it's handled, Olivia Pope that thing.
Right.
That is what that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. And it's not to say that like it's a utopia, like you know what I mean, like or not utopia, but it's a dream thing. Like you recognize that life happens and all that kind of stuff, but to your like you said, but I know they trying. I know they have my back. I know they're working through their thing. I know that this was not, this was a moment. This wasn't a, you know what I mean, like.
Right.
So I think, yeah, I think that's a lot of what it is. Even when you're in love, should you keep a part of yourself only for you?
I think so. That's what pulls you back. Because if something goes crazy, you need to have some recollection of who you are to ground you, to recognize, wait a minute. Who, what? You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
absolutely believe that you need to have some strong, need to have a very strong understanding of who you are. And hold on to that, because if something goes left, that little piece of you could be the thing that snatches you back,
yeah.
in my opinion.
I I'm gonna say I think when you're in love, you should keep all of you for you. I mean, I get what he's saying, but I
Yeah.
think there's this again. I think that you're supposed to give, but you're not supposed to lose yourself in the sense of
Okay.
I mean, like,
Okay.
don't lose yourself. You're still supposed to. So all of you is still supposed to be present, but all of you also is supposed to be, fully engaged. So to your point, yeah. So that way you can still be rational. Love should not make you irrational.
Right.
You
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
consciously make the decision to say, I am going to, and I'm going to use a biblical term. I am purposely going to give up, get on this cross in
Yeah.
this moment for this person, for this relationship, knowing that, that even though I might not feel this is fair, right, whatever, I'm sacrificing it. And that's a conscious decision. It should be. It shouldn't be. To me, it's not love if it's not conscious, because now I'm just making an emotional decision that I might regret later. But if I'm consciously saying I am purposely going to do this, then I know fully, I'm aware that there's could possibly go wrong. I'm fully present in that moment. So, and I don't improperly put this person, which is Cicely's comment, I don't improperly put this person in a place in my life that they never were intended to belong.
Yeah.
Which is where she gets the idol worship. That's what she
yeah. And that's essentially what I was saying. Like, it's easy to get wrapped up in an ideal, a thing that they, do, and a picture that we have of them. It's easy to get sold those dreams. I also wanted to make a point to what Cicely was saying about, we're in love with everyone, and how like people who do work like what we do, whether it's you got a business or you talk to people, whatever it is. I think the difference in that is when we do what we do, we don't really expect anything back from those who follow us, who we work with and engage with on our calling level. You know what I mean? So that we feel satisfied in the give for those we are called to serve.
Mm-hmm.
But when we enter into a relationship, the giving is absolutely reciprocal. Like there is a different expectation being set of the relationship, because we chose this. This wasn't a called thing. Mm-hmm. We made a sound decision to do this together and for each other. So there's an expectation of reciprocation, and not so much of I'm called with this message because you need it and I'm the one to give it and be blessed. You know what I mean? Like that's
absolutely
different. And sometimes I think that's hard for us to separate when we are in these types of spaces.
And that's
exactly what we're doing.
You're absolutely right. And what you're saying is the difference between, like I said, that's where it's unhealthy. Because now you have placed yourself in a position that, because here's the dysfunction. The dysfunction is when you're doing the call part, the thing that you are called to do, the fact that you're not getting back, you don't recognize it, because you get the sense, like you said, you get the sense of fulfillment of fulfilling the call.
Fulfilling the call.
But you don't recognize that the call is being fulfilled, but the relationship is not being fulfilled. You don't realize that until you done doing the calling part, and it's like, ain't been no reciprocity.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I've been pouring and pouring, and now here you go. And it's like, oh shoot, that wasn't on them. That was me. They weren't supposed to do that. That's not. So that's you're 1,000% right. But that's when it becomes difficult to navigate that, especially when your heart is so open, and your desire is for love and that level of relational intimacy, that you're thinking that because I get to be this part of me with them, that I'm getting the fulfillment, when actually you just getting drained, baby, and you don't even work.
You working for free.
You're absolutely working for free. You wondering why you broke.
Yeah.
You ain't got no energy, and you ain't got no love in your life. That's why.
Yes.
It's a very good point. That's why I learned recently that I have to occupy more spaces that men are there and have capacity to serve me, as opposed to me being the one that came to serve and only have the choosing from assignments. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Stop.
Yes.
Can't be in church all the time.
Repositioning. Yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
You go. Yeah. Okay. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Right. That ain't it.
Absolutely. So, good show.
Very. We got all the way through it too.
Good show. Absolutely. Good show. Couple of things real quick. So I put a link up earlier for this, and I want to make sure we do this. So y'all, October 16th, Q and I are going to be in San Antonio. for the, excuse me, Forgiveness to Freedom, conference. It's October 16th, 17th, and 18th in San Antonio, Texas. Y'all, Shatoria just changed her prices. So y'all need to go over to the Eventbrite link that I put in the comments and register. I want to say VIP is like $50 now, and
Hey,
I think general admission is free. So you just got to show, yeah, like you just got to show up.
come on in this room.
So yeah, and then I know she's adding a online option as well. But if you just do online, I know you're gonna miss some of the things. But y'all get to San Antonio in October. Um,
You got time. We still
it,
got time.
it's gonna be off the chain, and just listening to some of the things that are gonna be happening, it's gonna be good. So I'm keynoting one of the sessions. Q and I are doing a session together. So I know y'all know Coach E. She's gonna be there. So yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be
I
good,
cannot wait.
and it's gonna be fun. And so y'all get to San Antonio again. I put the link in the comments. So go
And what date? October
October
the
16th, 17th, and 18th.
Okay.
So y'all be there. All right. What else you got? What's your final comments? Final comments.
This was yes, Mike. I had to read that real quick. Yes. Um this week's show was very thought provoking for me. I didn't engage very much on the post over the past weekend. I was crazy, stupid busy. But as I was preparing slides, I thought a lot about these questions and how they show up in my life and how like I've been watching them show up around us and how we are working through some of these concepts and thoughts. And this week I just want to say we're on the right track. Like we are challenging ourselves. We don't figure it out always in 2 hours or sometimes even 2 weeks, but these little nuggets that we drop, these bits and pieces of conversations that just open up a different pathway for things that have been standard, for things that have been second nature. We don't even think about it. We just slide on into it, and that's what we do. These aren't just viral or hot topics. These are bits and pieces of our lives that we have somehow made entertaining and have engaged. The algorithm is working. But if you think a little bit deeper into what it is that we're engaging in, the types of ways that we are stretching our brains and our hearts and our circles to process these concepts and the other side of things, I think you'd be really, really proud of yourself of just how far you've allowed your brains to go and the level of understanding that you now have of something that you may have never had the opportunity to experience. But when you go into a different room, you meet a different person, you engage in a different topic of conversation, you aren't so quick to be, oh no, or what? Like you're okay. So what was, tell me, how did you get there? And that creates connections and bridges for better relationships, for better collaborations, for better communities, for better we have a stronger foundation when we give each other more space to figure it out. Flat out. And I just want to kind of high five our tribe here. You guys come back week after week after week. You dig with us, you debate with us, you push back, and you stretch us. And this is what we want more of, and it's working.
Absolutely.
It's working. Like we are doing a really good job, despite what it might feel like from day to day. Everyone is not having these kinds of conversations.
Most are not.
And the fact that you're willing to stretch and show up and go there with us and with each other in your space is dope.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
keep that up.
Yeah, one of the things that Q and I talk a lot about are like as we see, because we had this similar conversation today. Like as we see relationship people and discussions talk about pop up, we talk about the lack of balance and nuance and self discovery and rationality at times that are, you know what I mean, that are to some of these conversations. And it's like, this is harmful. And so
Yes.
you all help us maintain a good balance and a good, you know, so it's we appreciate you too, Joe. But
Mhm.
and so we appreciate you all for that. And again, as Q said, I want to echo like keep doing the work.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
and no, we are doing the work. We're doing the work. So
Hmm.
one of the things like even in our own like personal relationships, it's having a lot of this stuff is, you know, we got to use it. And I've said had a couple of times where I'm like, dude, you just talked about this last week.
You're right.
Last week on the show, and you messed that up.
Yep.
Okay, but if I hadn't had the conversation, I probably wouldn't have caught it
Mhm.
as fast as I did and corrected as you know as fast as I did because in my mind, you know, I probably
You have that frame of reference
yeah,
now
and
because it's
exposure
not
to
so
it.
foreign. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I have you all and everything else. So yes, I appreciate you all. Thank you, thank you. And
Thank you.
I hope that your relationships are getting better, or
Mhm.
clearer, or ending the ones that need to end, and all of that stuff. Because in part because of these conversations. So we appreciate you all. Again, we appreciate you all. If you, yeah, y'all keep coming back.
And if we are talking about the things that you need to be talking about, let us know. We need to know.
Hmm.
That if I could just slide in a programming note, like
Hmm.
if you are here because you enjoy these types of conversations and how we dig in, and there's something that we haven't touched, let us know,
Please,
please.
no, please let us know. Yeah,
And we will figure, we will dig and we will learn together. And
absolutely,
we are happy to do that. That's why
absolutely,
we're here. So,
absolutely. All right, I appreciate you.
for sure.
Appreciate
Always.
your wisdom. Also, y'all, for y'all who don't know, when we had that conversation when she turned 30, I also told her that she would be have much greater influence moving forward. Because Q want to ask, she like to play like I'm just here. No, I always tell you, you got a tribe of women and men who listening to you. Give them the full cue. Give them the full cue. Don't. So I appreciate it.
I thought we was gonna get through this without you putting me on that particular blast. I thought we were just gonna let this evolution be that pen that we needed, but here we are. But yeah, he's right. But y'all got me. I ain't going nowhere.
Thank
I'm
you.
in this thing.
Thank you, sis. Also, real quick, y'all, real quick reminder, don't forget, coming up the week after Labor Day, so the Monday after Labor Day, we're back on Clubhouse too.
Yes.
So new stuff on Clubhouse starting.
New people.
Yeah, new people. We added a couple new people to the team. Absolutely. So yes, not having love for yourself keeps you in love. Okay. But look,
We're
I
looking.
can get with that. I can get with that. Yeah,
Yep. Looking
I
for
can get with
sure.
that. So appreciate you all, every last one of you. We appreciate you. Be back next week. Another great show. Have a good night.